Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to Social Media Strategies for Business. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 steps of successful social media for business and some of the ways for creating and implementing a social media strategy. And we'll also cover some of the trends to watch out for in 2017. So, I guess we'll just get started. So I guess just to introduce myself, I'm Katie Robertson. I'm the founder of Grapevine Communications. I've been in the industry for more than 10 years. I consider myself a serial entrepreneur, and I've experienced both entrepreneurial success and failure. But social media has always been a big part of all of the ventures that I've been part of. And social media has, it came into play around the same time that I entered into the world of communications. And over the years, it's obviously become an increasingly important tool for businesses to build relationships, stay connected with their customers, and even keep track of, trending technologies and new ways that they can serve their customers better. So today's presentation will help you, hopefully, build an effective social media strategy that will, garner the results that you're after. Uh, so when I was coming up with a way to present social media strategy for business, I kept coming back to the idea that social media is like a dating app for businesses, and that you should send flowers often. So, what do I mean by this exactly? I mean that when you're trying to create and stay in a relationship with someone, sending flowers is an easy way to show you care. And it's very much the same in business. You want to gain the attention of your audience and then create a long-term relationship with them, i.e., turn them into customers. So, social media is a tool for your business to gain the attention of an audience, show them what you're made of, and why they should spend more time with you. It's a tool for showing them that you care about them and that you'll do what it takes to keep them in your life, much like a relationship. So, what is a social media strategy? Well, simply put, it's a plan of action. When we see a business fail at social media, it's usually when there's no plan in place. They think my customers and my competitors are on social media, so I better be there too, which isn't wrong. But when there's no plan in place for being on social media, it can be a waste of time, effort, and money for your company. And we see businesses overposting, underposting, using the spray and pray method, and typically they're on too many channels or the wrong ones altogether. So at Grapevine Communications, we've designed a model made up of 4 parts for building a successful social media strategy. And your winning strategy should always have at least these 4 parts. So goals and objectives, a target audience or audiences, an authentic and meaningful story, the reason that you're on social media at all, and metrics for measuring your success, and whether you should be staying the course or not. So we'll take a little bit of time with each part of this of the strategy and share examples on what it looks like when it's implemented. And keep in mind that a social media strategy is a green plan. So that means that it should always be changing, growing, and adapting to your internal environment as well as your external environment, and not unlike your business plan. By the way, I guess that this is a good time to remind you all to update it. And now you can name the sections of the plan whatever you like. So, goals and objectives might be something like our home run or something. And in fact, I guess we would encourage you, or I do encourage you, to come up with labels that suit your brand identity, because it's really, this is your plan, and it's your strategy, and it's your way that you're going to talk to your customers. So consider an outline for your story. So section 1, the boring business speak, is goals and objectives. But what this section is really about is getting to know yourself. Developing relationships in a digital world is about storytelling. You can't tell a story if you haven't developed the main character yet. And this step is about identifying what you need. So usually the answer for most companies when they come and chat with us about building their strategy is that they need more business. So that's the simple answer, yes. But much like finding a partner in your personal life, you first have to identify what your business embodies, what your values are, what's important to you. Identify what your brand represents. Is your brand fun? Is it about fairness? Is it a luxury brand? Do you stand for freedom, innovation? And then you also will need to identify what you need in a customer for you to be happy. So all of this will need to be built into your social media strategy as your goals and objectives. And I'll just give you a couple of examples. Say for a travel company who has a core value, one of their core values is freedom. So an objective that we would probably, as a starting point, say, is to foster a community of adventurous, like-minded people who crave life beyond the beaten path. And then the goal would be to increase their Instagram click-through rate for tour registrations by 10% in the next 6 months. So what happens is when you're creating this strategy, you build your objectives. These are broader based, sort of what you're trying to achieve overall. And then your goals are a lot, you make them more specific. So I'm sure you've all heard of the term SMART, SMART, measurable. So when you know what it is that you want out of your social media strategy, the next step is identifying your audience. This will help you determine which social media platforms you need to be on. And if you haven't already identified your target audiences, an easy way to do this is to further build on step 1. So making a list of what your ideal customer would look like. For example, women 25 to 35, average income of $50,000 a year, single, active, passionate about volunteerism. It's anything that would describe what type of customer you're seeking. So it takes a little bit of research, but it also takes a little bit of internal, personal awareness about who you're looking to work with. And the more specific that you can be, the better. This is a great exercise to do even if you're not on social media. I started a list years ago, and it continues to grow and evolve as I do, and as whatever I'm involved in does. So right now, this particular business. So try that out and see what you can come up with, and you might actually surprise yourself about in relation to who you've already been working with and the types of people that you've been targeting. So what's next? Getting to know your audience. Once you have your ideal customer, your target audience identified, it's time to get to know them a little bit better. And this is really the deeper cyclical sort of research phase. And you can do this by asking lots of questions. What are they into right now? What issues are they concerned about? Where is your audience vacationing? What trends and ideas, technologies are hot right now that they might be interested or want to know more about? And most importantly, how do their beliefs and attitudes align with your business? And what do you need to change in their perception of you for you to translate the connection into an ongoing relationship? So all of these questions and the answers that you come up with will help you better connect with your audience. And then at that point, that's when we can start being ready to engage. And now we're on, the part where you know who you are and what you want, and you know who your audience is and what they want. It's time to tell your story. Invite your customers to engage in the conversation with you. And really want to hit that home, I guess, in terms of this isn't a one-way conversation. And social media, the more that you just push stuff in that you don't really even expect to hear an answer, the less engaged they're going to be, and less likely that a continued ongoing partnership is going to take place. So, what's the best way for you to engage on social media? Firstly, you have to live and breathe your brand. And you can do this by knowing what key messages you want to share with the world about your business. So, you'll have to decide the tone of communication your messages will be in. Are they formal, informal, silly or serious, simple or complex, and so on. Depending on whatever your audience is and the research that you've done and the type of customer that you want to have, all of these will play into the tone of the way that you're having that conversation with them. And once you know and you've decided, you need to stick with it. People, they may have short attention spans, but they have long memories. So, if you say something one day, then you better have the same opinion next week, month, or even a year from now. Or at least the similar values to sort of where you started. So I'm guessing that at this point, most of that you guys have probably already heard, or or if you haven't, then it's a great, or you have, and it's a great refresher, or you haven't, and that's great. Then, we're at this point. But I guess you're wanting to know what the secret formula for social media success is. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There isn't one. A lot of social media success is based on experimenting and research specifically related to your brand, your audience, and your messaging. But there are some general rules and information, tools that you can use to get started on your social media journey. After you've done, that basic research and that basic sort of self-exploration. So I'll share those with you. For the first trick, we recommend this to most of our clients who are, sort of getting started on their own and they're not ready for a full-on customized social media engagement strategy, is following the 50-30-20 rule. It makes it, a little bit simple to think about what you're going to be posting. So first of all, 50% of the content you post should be getting it should be for getting attention. So likes, comments, etc. So you'd be sharing videos, pictures, GIFs, any media that will grab your audience's attention. But remember that the content needs to be relevant to your audience. So this portion of your social media strategy is to build loyalty with your brand channels. 30, so this is the 50-30, 30% of your content on social media should be useful or helpful information. Again, making sure that it has value for your target audience and also pertains to your brand. This part of your content is to build awareness. And then lastly, the 20%. So 20% of the content should be strictly about your business. This is the sales portion of your social media. Did you know that we offer this service? Or, we have this Tide detergent on sale for $2.99 today. And I guess the next part is deciding which social media platform is right for your business. How do we get the best use out of each one? Firstly, I can't stress this enough. You do not need to be on every channel. And you can easily determine which channels to be on once you know who your target audience is and where they're hanging out online. So here's some tips for getting started. Effective posting has a lot to do with when you post. There's no one-size-fits-all formula. It depends so much on your individual brand. But, again, to get you started, if you're not going to go into a deep dive and create a real customized strategy for yourself, there's a simple formula that you can use to get started. There are 4 ideal times usually to post throughout the day. 7:30 a.m. That's your commute to work time. People are checking their phone. They got up. They're having breakfast. Then you've got your noon time. People are on lunch, checking their Instagram or their Snap. And then 5:30, you're done work. You're coming home. You're about to make supper. You're gonna check your Facebook. And then 10 p.m. People are laying in bed, not reading books, and they're probably, checking their Twitter or their Instagram once again. So the next thing to remember is to use relevant and popular hashtags. So you can research the best ones for your business. There's sites like BuzzSumo, BuzzSumo.com, or even scheduling sites like Buffer. They'll provide those. On the slide it says Topsy. They've actually since been shut down, but the other 2, they still provide that. And also, when you're on Instagram, you can just, you sort of have an idea of what's relevant to your business, and it will list, how many times that particular hashtag has been used, and you can sort of get an idea of what's popular. And lastly, I can't stress this enough, video is boss right now. It will be for the majority of content going into 2017. There was a report released by Cisco Canada. They revealed that video will account for at least 69% of all consumer internet traffic by and in 2017. So because there's so many users worldwide, social media equals big data. And I'll just give you a few statistical, I guess, data points that break down the top 4, what we think are the top 4 social media platforms right now. Just to give you an idea of sort of where you might want to get started. So the first one, Twitter. Twitter, people keep saying that it's on the decline, but they still have almost 600 million users. Their link clicks account for 92% of all Twitter interaction with tweets. So, when people, it's 92% of it, it's about clicking on the links that are provided rather than, the retweets or the quoting. So that's a pretty big deal in terms of sharing your information and getting them to get to your website or to whatever landing page that you want them on. There's more than 500 million tweets a day. And to be successful or to have a legitimate presence on Twitter, it's recommended that you post 5 to 10 times a day for individuals and 10 to 30 times a day for brands. So, and that's because the half-life of a tweet is actually only 18 minutes. Twitter has actually become a really great customer service tool for some brands. I'm sure some of you would recall there was Lululemon was using it for customer service, and a customer tweeted that their pants faded or something, and Lululemon took that opportunity to be like, great, we're going to send you some new pants right away. And so people saw that and saw that they cared about their customers, that they were paying attention. One of the biggest things about Twitter is advice, I guess, is being authentic. Tweet like you're texting a good friend. There's a lot of high conversion words. Check it out. Did you know? See this? Click here. And then when you use hashtags, it also increases your engagement. So timing, Monday to Friday, highest engagement. It's not so much on the weekend, and that's usually typically because most users on Twitter, they're using it for things like checking their news or following politics, different, lifestyle brands. And between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. is the highest engagement time. But if you want two of the best times, noon and 6 p.m. are actually considered the most popular and the biggest reach that you would likely be able to get if that was all you could post on Twitter. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. So going to Facebook, I'm not going to go into as much detail. It's still obviously one of the biggest social media. It's definitely one of the first social media sites that you can use. So it's really great for using for promotions. And when you're expecting direct response, because you can, if you are promoting an ad or you're boosting an ad, then you can do it, like contact us now and it'll call or send them to your email or your website. And for Facebook, for a successful brand to be present, it's recommended that you are posting 5 to 10 posts per week. So you really could get away with, once per day. The half-life of a Facebook post is 90 minutes. So it's, obviously a lot longer than in comparison to, like a Twitter post. And I thought this was really interesting. 500 terabytes of data is uploaded to Facebook every day. And I remember, probably about 10 years ago, I bought my first external hard drive, and for a terabyte hard drive, it was almost $1,000. And now you can pick them up for like $30. But that's just, shows you how far we've come along in terms of data storage and how easy it is to build that storage and use it. But it just gives you another idea too of just how much people are actually uploading to Facebook every day. So then, of course, we move on to Instagram. We're at, over 200 million users. It's the fastest growing social media platform next to Snap or Snapchat. And Mondays at 6 p.m. are considered the best time to post if, you're not going to follow your analytics. Instagram in the last quarter, they introduced a whole gamut of changes, and that's primarily because Facebook sucked them up. We see we've got our Snapchat story, Snapchat Live, and also, Snapchat for Business. So it actually provides insights into who your followers are, age demographic, where they're from, top posts, and the times that your followers are actually online engaging with you. So it's actually becoming quite a robust marketing tool for businesses, which is, good and bad, I guess, depending on whether you're if you like the sponsored ads or not, I guess. So 5 is the golden rule for hashtags. Usually a minimum of 5, that'll get you, the best bang for your buck, I guess, in terms of getting people to like and share, or sorry, not share, but like and comment and follow you on Instagram. And the benchmark, I guess, that for Instagram followers for engagement is you take your followers and you times it by 0.037. So an example of that, if you have 37 if you have 1,000 followers, you should be expecting a minimum of 37 likes and comments per post. If you have 500 followers, you should be expecting 19 likes and comments. And then if you have 5,000 followers, then that formula comes out to 185 likes and comments per post. Then that's sort of how you can gauge whether or not you are using your hashtags effectively, you're posting at the right times, or even if you're posting content that's relevant to your followers. And obviously, I mean, I'm sure you're all on Instagram and you know that the quality of what you're putting up there, it really does make a huge difference. And the last one, Snapchat or Snap. They have over 100 million active monthly users. There are 400 million snaps sent out every day. And this is actually the social media tool to reach, the social media tool of the day, I guess, to reach that younger age demographic. 71% of snappers are under 25. And then what's really interesting about this is that only 1% of marketers are on Snapchat. So there's a really big gap there, and I guess a really big opportunity for marketers to take advantage of that audience that they may not be reaching right now. And so we move on to the last step in creating a successful social media strategy, and that's measurement. So why do we measure what we do? The truth is, most businesses don't, especially entrepreneurs. It takes extra time, and especially given the big data figures, that we talked about. Like, there's tons of analytics that you can draw from a range of different sites, including each individual social media platform. It can get you could be bogged down in it, and it could be kind of boring, I guess, especially when you're not, a social media guru necessarily. But if you look at it from the perspective that it's actually just good customer service, then it makes it easier to see why measuring your efforts is so important to your business. It's about how you're going to define success. So this is really, brand specific. It's what are you going to measure? Are you going to measure for each post, by week, by month? And then from there, that's how you're sort of going to define what your metrics of success are, what you'll be measuring. So here's just a couple of, it's 5 examples of what you could measure: your reach, your influence, your engagement, likes. Likes could be engagement, but I think you can like something but not be engaged in it, right? So we consider engaging a back and forth conversation, or people sending you an email afterwards or calling you, which is also click conversion, but they all kind of go together. So, it's a good place to start, these five sort of metrics. So, I'm just going to go into, really, really briefly what to watch for in 2017. There's some pretty big changes on the forefront, and they're happening really quickly. Technology, it's faster than any other sort of industry, I think, in terms of growth and change. So it helps if you can sort of stay ahead of the game and be ready for that. And usually it's so interesting because while we're all kind of customers in our own right, it tends to be the customer who's figuring out the technology before we do. So, any sort of upper hand that you can get, it's good to have that. So there's three areas that I'm seeing that are, and industry professionals are seeing as, the fastest growing sort of bubbling trends for 2017. One of them is, live video. We've seen it on Facebook. We've got Facebook Live. We see it on Instagram Live. Obviously, Snap, you can, it's fairly close to live, depending on how fast people, I guess, are watching it. But, and actually Twitter has also introduced a live, component to their platform. So people want it now, and they want it raw. They don't want it doctored or whatever, But then, having said that, they also have an appreciation for a really good video, and that could be, professionally high end sort of videography, video or commercial, but it could also be, just sort of a quick recording of whatever you guys are doing in the office, and even GIFs, I guess, we can consider those to be video. I would actually. And the last one is 360 photography and the virtual and augmented reality. We're seeing this more and more, especially on Facebook. They've introduced their their 360 video and their 360 photography, and there's widgets and apps that you can install already to have that available to your customers. It's definitely one of the fastest, especially the virtual reality piece, one of the fastest growing technologies that's out there right now. So if there's a way that you can incorporate that into your social media strategy, we highly recommend it. And if you need to make a small investment in it, then it's something that we would definitely recommend that you look into. And I used this same webinar, actually, or the same slideshow. I did a presentation a couple weeks ago to at a tech trade show. So obviously you're at the webinar. That webinar has gone past, but you can learn more about what we talked about. We have a online sort of resource section on our website, gcmatters.ca/resources. If you have any questions, I'm always here to answer any questions that you might have. I'm happy to give advice. None of this is really a secret. And if you work hard at it and you have the time to do it, then you can learn it, and if you do the research and put the time in, then you really you can be successful at it for sure. But if you need to, you can contact me directly, info@gcmatters.ca, and of course you can follow us on all of our social media platforms that we're on. We are on Instagram, the handles at gcmatters. Facebook, same, GC Matters. Snapchat, GC Matters. And Twitter, GC Matters. So I kept it really brief. I know everybody's super busy and probably want to get back to work after having the time off in the holidays, and I hope that you found some of this, all of it or some of it, useful, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you implement some of these strategies and apply them to creating a successful social media strategy for your brand. That's at the end of the day what's really important to me and the team that I work with at Grapevine Communications. And I just want to thank you again for joining me. And that's the end of our show.